Hey guys,
We are back with Model Talk
it's Devin
and
Blackerby.
Nicole Nance. And we're here to bring a little bit of transparency to the modeling world and talk about our experiences.
Share some
Yeah,
stories,
talk about fun stuff and difficult stuff. Yeah, so
all the
thank you for
things.
tuning in.
Yeah,
This is episode 6.
6.
And we're going to talk about the different markets of professional modeling,
Yeah,
and all of the different like avenues you can take with it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of hoping that newer models get a lot out of this one and
Yeah.
realizing there are a lot of different ways to become a professional model.
Also, this is a lot of info I've been given. I've only personally experienced, like I've said, at the top like 3 of these markets, but I've been pushed to a couple more. So I have experience in like communicating back and forth with them, but I haven't actually gone to them, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
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 Cool. All right. So we could start with the US. So, like, your main fashion capital cities are obviously New York, LA, and Miami. Those are like your main markets. New York is like your high fashion, your runway. There's some commercial stuff shot out of there too. I'd say also a little bit of acting, and then LA is mainly commercial and acting. Like I remember when I casted down there and like tried to get an agency, they really were trying to push me into acting because they really want you to also do that. Because, and I didn't realize this until I went down there, when you're given a modeling call, you're competing with also actresses and famous actors and actresses, or not even famous, maybe like B-list. Like you're competing with people who also have a slight celebrity behind them too. So putting you in that role also gives you like an edge. So they really wanted that.
Yeah.
But well, I kept saying no.
It diversifies you. And
yeah.
acting is something you can like age with. More
so.
Oh,
way better.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
way better. Miami is swimwear and lingerie because they have swim week there. I think there's some athletic slightly based there too, but that's mainly what that market is like all swimwear, all lingerie. Like they're built on it. Their fashion week is basically all that.
Right.
Like
that or like more like clubwear party style.
Yes.
That's meant for really hot weather.
Tropical.
Oh God, Florida.
Stuff. And then
So
your other main fashion capitals, I'd say London, Paris, Milan, Tokyo, and that's pretty much it. Secondary markets, this is where I categorize Portland. We're kind of a secondary market, but we're a main market for athletic. Everything else, I'd say we're secondary.
Nike, Adidas, Columbia.
Yeah. All those are here.
All of those.
Your secondary markets in the U.S. are like Portland, Seattle, and Chicago, just because Ford is based there, which I didn't really know until later. But these are markets that you go to usually to like do what they call like kind of like you would live there for 2 weeks and do testing and build a bunch of buzz, and then ideally your mother agency would push you to another market based on like the work you did in this market. So that's kind of the goal of those usually.
Yeah.
And then internationally, I just remember this because I was really being pushed to Asia at one point. So I know Singapore is coming up as actually a fashion capital, but that's still considered a testing market. Taipei in China was one for a while, but they did have issues with human trafficking. So I don't know if they send people there anymore. And then Seoul is a huge testing market. I know that for sure if you're trying to branch into the Asian markets, you go to Seoul and you do like 2 weeks there of work, or like a month sometimes, and then if you do really well, they'll push you to like Japan, or they'll push you to Singapore, or they'll push you to a couple other places I can't super remember. And then for Europe, I actually just recently found this out. Athens is a really big one because I got offered Athens Fashion Week.
Oh, cool.
During my sophomore year of college, but I was like in the middle of a semester.
Yeah.
So I was like, do I drop out or do I like do it? And I ended up not doing it because I had already like paid for my tuition, obviously. And I was going to make money, but not enough to like pay back what I would have lost in tuition. So I just like decided against it, which honestly is one of those career moments where you don't expect it to happen, and then like life hits you in the face and you can't do it. But so that's a huge testing market. I would say Africa, Johannesburg, I've heard, for South Africa. And then I've heard some in Morocco, but to me that's almost too close to the European markets. So I've mostly heard if you're going to do Africa, it's South Africa for Johannesburg. And then Australia is also a huge secondary market just on its own. So like Melbourne you go there and you work to try. Basically, you go to a secondary market to build buzz about yourself to then go to a large market. That's the whole goal of a secondary market.
And it pushes you into the like international model category.
Yes.
Which is big.
Like, I know if anyone's with Option here, they've tried to place people a couple times in Morocco, like I said, and then a couple times in Australia from girls I knew who worked with them because they were trying to get them more buzz to then move to like Paris, move to Milan, or move to London to do those fashion weeks. So.
And I guess this is an assumption, but you're sent where your look is going to be the most marketable.
Oh, yes.
So like super pale women
you're almost sent to opposite
Asia,
places.
Right?
Yeah.
Because they really like the westernized, like the look of it, the nose shape and the really fair skin because, I don't know exactly why.
Yeah, I would say you're almost sent to like the opposite of what the cultural norm is from what I've heard from other people who have also traveled. It's either that or you fit the look. Like, there was a girl I worked with who was a mix of a couple of things, but she had like a predominantly kind of more Asian, like Vietnamese kind of look to her face. So she worked really well in Asia because clearly she was also white but Asian, so she had this weird mix. So they looked at her as like marketable but still like not the traditional beauty standard. So she worked in the Asian markets a lot. And then Morgan was going to be sent to Morocco, which she's a very pale white girl like me. So it's almost like having the opposite of what the general population is something that they would look for, too.
I guess it would be more eye-catching.
Yeah.
Too. And you would stand out. You'd be more unique.
So talking U.S. markets, let's talk...
Oh, I feel like we left Vancouver, BC out of the equation.
They're starting to come up.
I
don't know that much about them, though.
And I've talked about this podcast a million times.
I guess Quebec, too, I think has some fashion week also.
Yeah, so I listen to the Fashion Hags, and it's a Canadian-based podcast, and they're designers and have been through fashion school and all of that and work in the market. And it sounds like they live in Vancouver, BC, and it sounds like it's really up and coming. It sounds like they're bringing out a lot, well, probably not enough, definitely not enough, but Indigenous designers from Canada.
Oh, like First Nation?
First Nation, nice. Yeah, the French and Indigenous people.
That's cool.
Yeah, and so I feel like they're doing big things. I've seen, I think they had a Metropolitan Fashion Week up there not too long ago.
Interesting.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways, so U.S. markets.
So U.S. markets, I guess we'll start with Portland. So to Portland, to me, there's like several different categories. I think the main one, that like if you're a working model here and what I consider a full-time model, you have to be an athletic model. Because that's literally the only way you make money here. And when we talk about athletic, we talk about like Adidas, working for an athletic company or doing athletic things. Because like... There's a friend of mine, Chris, who he also has his own podcast. It's called the Lost in Portland podcast. But
cool.
He does a lot of athletic shooting here. And yes, it's for brands, but sometimes like he did a hiking one time, which was like for Hydro Flask. Yeah. So it's not always just going to be clothing. It gives the appearance
that you're active.
Yeah. Sometimes it's going to just be a random product, but it fits whatever you're following.
Or even lifestyle athletic modeling, because they need like stock photos of it.
Yes.
And stuff.
You want to talk about that? You're better at lifestyle than me. I feel like you can speak on it better than I can.
Well, still talking a little bit about the athletic. One thing I'm learning, because I really want to break more into that market. I think I'm more kind of built for that. And I'm learning, any models that are interested in it, that athletic modeling doesn't mean like big muscles.
No, it does not. It means toned.
Toned. They need all different body types for it. And so if you are more yoga or Pilates with that, like you're toned, but there's not muscle mass versus like bodybuilders and stuff. So they need a wide range of
For guys, they usually
bodies.
Just want them to be in shape. They don't necessarily have to have like huge muscle, but the guys, I know they just want them to be in shape. Women, and I used to do this when I used to lose weight for modeling. I used to do this thing where like you can work out to the point where you start to tone, which means you don't have muscle mass. It's like right before you would start to gain muscle, but you're like really in shape and really fit. And you can feel the muscle. Like if I was to touch my arm at that point, you can feel it, but it's not there.
Yeah.
So it doesn't actually like come out in photos, and that's what they want for women because they don't want you too muscly because then that changes like your hip measurement, especially because like your butt will start gaining muscle, and then that can make you too big or too small based on like their fits.
Yeah, I guess too it depends. So I'm learning like trying to figure out where I want to gear myself towards, like what brands, and hopefully ultimately working with them, but you have to figure out, so like Adidas is way more like fashion athletics, whereas Nike uses like genuine like
athletes
where they don't really care about the hip measurement with
No.
the butt because it's muscle. And so that was really interesting to me. And I'm like, which one? And I feel like I fit more Adidas because I
casted for an Adidas thing, and
Did
I made it to round 2 just because it was for fashion stuff.
Yeah.
It's less for athletic. And I'll tell you, I just have a story now. So
Yeah,
based on when you go to athletic castings, they're completely different than fashion, or I would say lifestyle too, but lifestyle doesn't really cast a super huge amount. But like I've gone to a Nike casting where I had to show up and there was like a bunch of different people there. We're in like a studio warehouse setting, and they had you put on clothes. It kind of was based on your look. So I thought I would be put into their like fashion brand, but they didn't do that, which to me I think was like a little bit of my downfall. Like they put me in one of the Nike brands that was just really athletic wear, and so they have you stand in it, you wait, they put you on set, and you get 10 shots to do whatever. And I was like, ooh, I hate this.
Oh, I would love that.
Well, because the way my agency described it at the time was like, yes, they're shooting for 3 different brands of Nike. One was really fashion, one was kind of like middle of the road, and then one was super athletic. So I thought that they would put me in the really fashion based on my look, but they put everybody, I think, initially in the really athletic, and then if you made it to like 2 or 3, they'd put you in all of the looks eventually to see how you did. So I didn't make it obviously past that first cut because I'm not I'm like not the athletic look traditionally, so I didn't make it that far. But I remember that's what it was. You waited around. You can't wear their competitor stuff. They won't let you in the door.
That makes sense,
if you do, sometimes you could put tape over the logo.
Turn it inside out. I don't know.
No, it's more for shoes. It's like if you have to wear
you
have to wear a Nike shoe to a Nike casting, you have to wear an Adidas shoe to Adidas casting.
It sounds annoying, but like it's just respectful.
If you don't, you need to wear a brand that is not a threat, like Champion.
I was just gonna say.
Or Nordstrom has their kind of athletic brand called Zella, but there's no actual logo to it. Like I've worn that to castings before because it just looks like normal athletic wear.
I have a couple shoes that don't have a brand on them.
Those
that
are
I bring
fun.
to like shoots, because if I want to wear Adidas stuff, there's no way in hell
You're
I'm
gonna
putting
shoot it with a
Nike
Nike
or
thing.
Puma shoes on. Yeah.
Yeah, if you shoot with fashion athletic brands, that's different. Like I have some Ivy Park stuff, and I doubt they would really care as long as like the name's not somewhere on it, because like some of the stuff's just like, it's on the tag, but you don't really see a logo. But that's how most athletic castings are, is they put you in clothes. I've done a couple like that. They put you in clothes and they either put you on a set or they have you actually start working out.
Yeah.
They have you, like I was in a Nike one and they had us start running laps and I was like, man, this is not my gig. Like I am not, don't ask me to run and look nice, because I don't think people realize sometimes obviously it is a staged like shot of a person doing a sport. Maybe it's like actually they're not actually on a track somewhere, right, and they're shooting. But most of the time, and I know this because I've been put on that, or several of my male model friends all do that. They actually take them out to a high school track and have them run like 20 laps, and they're just constantly shooting to get a photo, or they have them trail run. Like Anthony Thomason is a big slew model who I love, but he, I remember, is not a men's standard size for shoes, so he would trail run in size 9 shoes when he's a size 11. So that's
painful.
like the ridiculous stuff that you have to do, but he's trail running all day when he's doing like a look that's supposed to be like a trail running shoe. So they actually have people going out and doing that activity, and I don't think people like realize that. Like there's some shots that I think David or Chaudry did recently of them running on one of the Portland bridges. I'm like, no, they were actually out there like running all day and shooting. Like you're actually doing the activity. And they ask you too. And our agency has us fill that out on like the talent thing. Like, what are your talents? Like, what sports can you actually do? Like, they have you fill it on like casting.com or something. But Nike actually asks you that too, or any of the athletic brands will ask you when you show up. They're like, can you actually do yoga? How advanced can you do yoga? Because they want to know if they can have you do some really cool poses or like running. Especially like track and field. If they're doing like track and field stuff, they're like, can you actually throw a javelin? How well can you throw a javelin? Like, were you a a high school football player, could you actually be able to do a couple of plays? Like, not hardcore, they're not actually going to have people tackle you, but they're going to play a game.
Something that shows off the form of a football player.
Yeah.
Every athletic shoot I've ever done has been exhausting because you're
actually doing the thing.
And you're doing it over and over and over again.
Or like you're shooting a basketball like 6 different times in the same basket.
But it makes a big difference when you get your blood pumping. I think you can see it in the photo, not your blood, but I think in the photos
you look alive.
You can see it, you can see like the veins in men specifically. They're tiring, but they've like kind of made me want to take just like a couple maybe kickboxing classes to learn form.
Or how to fake a form.
Because I have enough photos that are just kind of like in the outtakes where it's like, oh my gosh, it's obvious I have no idea what I'm doing. And so they want to know if you actually can, because otherwise it's a lot of work, like to try and elicit that from a model that's never kickboxed before or something.
Well, yeah, like back to Anthony Thompson, like he's a pro long driver. That's like his other.
What's that?
For golf.
Oh, okay.
It's just shooting the ball. They don't actually try to get it in a hole. It's just how far you can hit it.
That sounds fun.
That might be the worst way to describe it, but that's how I think
distance,
of it. Yeah, it's distance. He's a pro long driver, but it's for the long drive shot. So that might have been so wrong, but
Google it, guys.
He's great, but he's so fun. But he does a lot of golf shoots because he's obviously a golfer, so he can go play the golf shoot role of a guy for Nike when Nike Golf was a thing, or like any other golf company really well, because he does it. Like that's one of his career paths, right? So they have you do a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, I also learned, like, if you are going to do an athletic shoot, like, I did a yoga shoot.
Workout.
That, and, like, thankfully, the photographer, this just was an awesome coincidence, but was also a yoga instructor.
Oh, there you go.
So I knew there wasn't going to be a photo that came out that made it look like I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah. They're not going to.
Because, like, as a dancer, a lot of times they'll want you to, like, dance for photo shoots, or somebody who doesn't really understand dance form will want to do ballet shoots. And it's like, that sounds great.
Sometimes I'm going to look like crap.
Yeah, because they just don't know,
like,
to look for a turnout or where the legs should be in the air and whatever. So,
that's Portland's main market. A subset of athletic marketing is fit modeling.
Yep, yeah.
Because you could just be a fit model for an athletic company. You can do this for a lot. But here, like, I know... Actually, my old manager at a restaurant I used to work at, she was like a main fit model for Columbia. Because she was like a perfect size 6. So they used her all the time for that. And you can make a good amount of money, but it's like that thing that we said. You have to be prepared, because they're clearly going to pick you apart because you're a fit model. So
we talked about this in a previous episode.
Yeah, they're going to put pants on you and be like, wow, Devin actually has a wider set hip, which I do. So her butt's a little larger, so her hip measurement is maybe going to actually be between our size 4 and size 6, and not actually a 4 or a 6 on the dot.
Like
so
most women.
Yeah, so we have to think about that when we're fitting her with our size 4. And so they'll say things like that to you, which maybe sound negative, but it's like, no, it's literally them just analyzing the clothing. And I can speak to this now. I intern at the S Group, which is a part of they do clothing manufacturing and like sourcing and all that jazz, but we have fit women come in all the time for this one women's athletic company we're working with and partnering with. And I remember it took forever for us to find, she's doing full run sizing, so all the way to plus, which is great.
That's awesome.
But finding a plus size woman that is actually a 14 all the way around.
Like the proportions.
Yeah, and not like a 14 bust and maybe a 12 waist and then a 14 hip was the hardest thing in the world to find a fit model that actually fit those sizes correctly.
Yeah, I could see that.
So, but you get paid really well. I mean, I remember one of my friends for Adidas made $1,200 in a day. And I was like, oh my God, that's so nice. Like, what's that like?
I feel like it's hard as a woman when the topic is proportions.
Yeah.
Because you can come off, I don't know how to describe it, but there's nothing you can do about your proportions, your torso length, your leg length.
You just have to accept it.
Yeah. But I do feel like we have a slight job on this podcast to make sure when we're talking about things like where they kind of pick you apart, like, yeah, that's hard and stuff, but it's part of the job, and being really honest about that.
To me, it's never negative.
Yeah, when it's done like professionally. It's just part of it.
It's usually in a professional setting. They're never saying that to actually like poke at you.
Feelings.
It's just what they're analyzing at the time. And I think this job, some people I think this job makes you gain or lose confidence. I think it also makes you extremely aware of your body and how it moves on camera, and just how you fit into clothing.
And how to pose.
And
like,
how
when
to
people
pose.
are genuinely honest, like, when you're face on camera, this one thing just doesn't translate well, and then you're like, oh, shit, well, now I know what to do.
Yeah, like me, it's my hands. I have really long
Hands are hard.
hands, so sometimes when I cup them a certain way, they come off a little claw-esque. So I know I have to be aware of that. And to me, that's not negative. It's just someone telling me, like, I don't want it to look weird in a photo,
Yep.
especially if I want to use that photo.
Exactly.
So it's more just, I think this job just makes you extremely aware of your entire body. So when someone says that about you, you instantly, at least for me, I instantly am like, oh yeah, like I kind of own up to it because it's like, I know it's true.
Yeah,
because
and
I've seen it.
that in and of itself is like a form of confidence. To just be like, yeah, okay.
Like you understand your whole body.
My hips are a little bit wider apart. That's cool.
Yeah.
There's women like me out there, so
Yeah.
what are you going to put women like me in? Like, it's valuable. And yeah, like, you
Also
kind of
with-
start owning your
Oh, yeah.
quote-unquote insecurities.
Yeah. Also with fit modeling, I feel like that's the only time, besides working with a designer, that you get to give a big brand feedback. Because we take feedback from our fit models all the time about like how it actually fits on them. Because most of the ones we use at my other job, they're a true size 6 or a true size 4 or a true size 8. So they're that all the way around for the most part. So when you ask them if this fits on them correctly and it doesn't, then they have to be like, okay, why? If this person's not fitting it, then someone that's going to be in the in between is going to be weird. So we need to fix it for the 8 so that it's good for the person who's between an 8 and a 10 or like whatever. Like you have to be more aware of it. So I think it's a good chance for you to actually give feedback to a large group of people that normally aren't going to ask the regular consumer what for feedback.
Yeah.
For the most part.
The regular consumer is just going to tell them when they're unhappy.
Yeah. When something's really wrong.
Yeah. That would be, I want to do more of that. That would be fun.
Besides that, in Portland, I would say it's commercial and lifestyle I put together because they're essentially the same thing. So when we say that, we're talking about like, to me, a big company here is like Fred Meyer does so many ads still, and working with them is super. It's not easy, but it's like a machine, a well-oiled machine. You show up to set, you shoot for a couple hours, and you leave. You're not there a whole day. They're very efficient.
And it's the kind of company that you go to a bunch of castings for.
So many.
Because the opportunities are endless. Their jewelry store. They have that new, like, what's it called? I just was looking at the clothes the other day.
The Juniors dip line that they're starting. Well, Kroger's starting.
Like, the dip is full circle. And it's...
I don't like it. Sorry.
I don't like the cuts. I really think that they're not cut very...
Last year for college, this was part of my Final Four class. We had to take the dip clothing at Kroger and make a website for them because there's not really a website. It's just in stores for Kroger, which is Fred Meyer. And then we had to present it to their buyers. And I was like,
cool.
Why are we presenting the stuff that they own to them in the same way? And they gave us, like, the nicest feedback, but it was still, like, clearly they shouldn't even be here. Like, it was for retail and merchandising class. So it was cool. Like, I liked what we did, but I was also like, I hate this. Because there wasn't actually any product shots. So one of our teachers, God bless her, she's actually the sweetest professor. I really like her. She took her daughter there and took pictures of her in every single thing they have for juniors.
Oh my gosh.
So we went, so her daughter was like our model
dedication.
for all these photos. She's so sweet.
Oh,
but
that'd
like,
be fun if you
that. But I remember for that class, I was like, why are we inviting buyers? Like, they don't want to see what we do. Like, I don't think they really care. Like, yes, they hire from our pocket of students.
Right.
But it's like watching this in this particular project, I was like, no way. They don't care. Like, there's no way.
I hope the dip brand, like, gets better, though, because it's all, like, basics and
It's
a million
super basics.
colors, which is so me. I'm
Also,
like,
I thought that was weird that they introduced that because, like, Fred Meyer, I swear, was, like, scaling back clothing in some places. Like, some stores don't have clothing anymore. Some still do. Like, I live in Corvallis for college, obviously. Ours still has clothing because it's, like, such a small town, so I don't think they would ever take that away as, like, a key shopping piece. But, like, the Fred Meyer kind of near me in Beaverton, I swear, is not doing anymore. Or they're, like, making it smaller, so it's just not as many.
I just walked through it the other day. And it's a lot. There's a lot going on at the one I was at. But anyways, Fred Meyer is a good opportunity here with Kroger.
Who else casts here a lot?
I've known somebody who's done a Microsoft commercial.
Oh, yeah,
and
I see
feel like
those on
Microsoft
occasion.
is kind of popular out here.
I'd say Intel sometimes, or like random banks. Like I've seen stuff for Wells Fargo before. I've seen like some On Point castings here.
Yeah.
Where they just want locally lifestyle-y people to take photos for them.
Because in the Pacific Northwest market, people really want real people that look like them.
Yes.
They want someone in a beanie everywhere.
With a beard.
With a beanie and a beard and some flannel, which is cool, like whatever. But yeah, it's very like down to earth, very outdoorsy. There's a lot of green and brown in the advertising, I noticed. But I was trying to think of some examples of...
Well, we just got a hand modeling casting the other day.
Yeah.
Which I've seen a couple of times. Yeah.
I almost sent in my hands, but I wasn't available for the date.
My nails just look like crap, so I was like, I can't do it.
Great.
Sorry.
But I was trying to find like a famous commercial or lifestyle model. And honestly, all I saw were mostly celebrities.
Oh, you know what? One of my friends, Brie, who I don't think she really models anymore, but she was in like a Legacy Health commercial here where she like went into labor for the thing. Like she was like a pregnant mom and then went into labor. But I've seen it with David Adui too, where he played like a doctor. So like I think the healthcare brands here also do a lot of like random little lifestyle-y commercially shoots because they want it to be like, again, like a local person.
Commercial also extends to internal marketing for businesses. So like the pamphlets they hand out at informational meetings and
those were models they casted for that. Yeah,
100%. They had people come in and they found the look that they were trying to achieve, and
usually really high diversity. Like you'll see someone of every type of life in those like ads too.
100%.
Like
it's commercial. It has to appeal to everybody.
So mixed in with that is lifestyle. To me, lifestyle was once described to me by a photographer as, if I handed you an apple and asked you to play with it, you need to look like you're having the best time playing with that. And I said, I don't like that. Like I just now, I think maybe this year and last year, I'm just now comfortable with lifestyle because before I hated it.
It took me a while to warm up to. I don't hate it. I just kind of take it now as like an acting challenge, and I love acting.
That's true. It's a lot of faking.
But it is different to try and translate that onto film.
It's so hard.
Because it's really easy to look unnatural. It's more natural to look unnatural on film. And it's like the weird things. So like my husband had to get, when he first started his job out here, when we moved, he had to get like his headshot or whatever.
Okay.
And he was asking me, he was like, well, what do I do? He didn't.
Headshots, you literally just smile.
You just smile, but I was like, stick your chin forward just a little bit. I was like, do the turtle, and he practiced, and I was like, that's it. And he was like, he saw a picture with doing it and without, and he was like, I felt so stupid, but guess what? That double chin disappeared. I have it like all of the time.
Everybody has it.
Mine is like, I feel like, I don't know. I just feel like it's prominent no matter. Anyways, double chins, that's a whole other topic.
Yeah, double chin.
Anyways, yeah, so those like, there's things you have to do that feel unnatural to look natural.
Yeah, like a lot of, to me, it's like almost like senior pictures, like you do a lot of like the fake laugh, but it just comes off looking like a smile.
Yeah.
Like I do that in Lifestyle-y. Lifestyle-y, they also will sometimes just constantly be taking photos of you to get stuff that you're not... Candids. And then they'll use candids. Like,
oh my God. It's the worst when there's no props. If you have nothing, if you're just,
it's just
like...
you.
It's just you. Or
and like
even
clothing.
If you don't have a jacket, if it's like a t-shirt and jeans, I'm always like, how many times can I put my thumb in my belt loop?
That's very true.
And then you start
get
defaulting.
over it super quickly.
Yeah.
And then you just go back to regular posing, and then they'll be like, well, I'm like,
they're like,
sorry.
that's too fashion. I always start going to fashion. Which, whatever. Like, they usually just say, like, oh, that's a little bit off brand or whatever, and you just, like, snap back.
You do need something to work with, because, like, if you're just by yourself, or if you're not changing looks constantly. Like, I do it for Carla, who's my designer at the store I work at. But I do it for when we're changing looks a lot. So it's like, I know that they're going to get different shots of like, if I repeat the same 6 things, which I do sometimes, then they're still going to not use all those shots. Right. They're going to take individual shots of different things.
Well, that's the beauty of working with a brand over and over again.
Yeah.
You learn their like style and what they want.
But lifestyle's hard. It's hard.
I give a lot of props to the models that really enjoy it and excel at it.
Do really good at it.
Yeah.
Or have a really good smile, because I'm just like self-conscious of my smile.
I am too.
Because I feel like from the side, if you look at it, it almost just looks weird if you're smiling too hard. Like, I don't know why. It just looks odd to me.
There's also...
Or like, school picture-y, and you don't want it to look like a school picture. Side
tangent on the lifestyle. I mean, this applies to all different types of shooting, but you know how, like, a lot of times they don't want you to look at camera. And so you're looking off and stuff. There's so many times where you can't look too far to the side.
Or you're going to look weird.
Or you're going to be missing
You have to cut it in half or look at the 45. Like,
that
on
one
the
is
angle.
like, that's a funny one to like learn. They'll be like kind of flipping through all the photos and you're like, you look possessed.
Yeah, that does happen.
But anyways.
On occasion. And then the other market of Portland is obviously fashion, which we both work in the most. And that one to me, that one almost takes the most professionalism / dedication.
Yeah.
Because the hours are much longer. You're sometimes not paid. Passionate. Castings for that are much more critical, and I would say more based on like actual fashion castings where you walk in and you give them your headshots and maybe they take measurements before or after. You walk for them a couple of times in your clothes. Maybe you actually change into a swimsuit, walk for them a couple of times, and then they say thank you so much, and then you leave.
Yeah.
You don't get the feedback right away, which I know would drive so many people up the wall, but you don't. They rarely will tell you right away that they like you. And if they do, it's usually because they're like just weeding out the crowd. It's not necessarily that you're going to get in, but they'll pick you for like a second callback, which sometimes is in the same chunk of time, like especially for an agency. So I've cast for a couple of this one agency in Milan. I cast for like a bunch of times, but like I always made it to the second call, whereas they would have 40 of us in like the casting room, and then they'd cut it down to like 20 or 15.
Oh my god.
And then they'd
That's
be
nerve-wracking.
yeah, and then they would be like, okay, thank you so much, and then they would tell the agency who they actually picked. But you still wouldn't find out. You would just know that you made it to like second cuts. Or like same with that Adidas casting. Like they had us all in that room, then they had me wait a little bit longer and then shoot with them again. And so I knew I made it to like a round 2, and then I didn't go back in, which I don't know if they had people go back in, but I didn't get asked to come back again. So I knew I didn't actually make it.
And that's a lot how like runway castings are. Which
Yeah, they
plays
won't tell
into
you
the fashion.
no. They won't tell you that you didn't make it. Rarely. Actually, it was super rare, but when I casted in Seattle, I actually got an email from all of them when they were like, no, sorry, we're not going to take you at this time, blah, blah, blah. Which is super rare because usually they just like won't respond to you. So the fact that I even got a response, I was like, that's nice. At least you told me, because most of the time they won't tell you unless it's a yes.
Yeah, and I feel like too, it's hard for the people judging you. They don't want to make you feel bad. It's like a job interview. It is a job interview.
It's a job interview, but you never really tell them anything about yourself, or if you do, it's very service level.
Yeah, like, it's just basically what you look like, how your walk is, and so on.
It's you, essentially.
It is, and so I feel like whenever you're going to feel bad about feedback or something, it's always if you don't make it in a casting. Like I always feel bad anytime I do a casting where... So when I first started in runway, I experienced this a lot where you'd go to a casting and some girls would get measured with headshots and some wouldn't. And you knew if you didn't. I mean, they always tell you there's a chance. And there really is. I mean...
Yeah, they could be going back through the photos after and be like, actually, we want her.
Yeah, they might not have found enough people when they were first selecting. But regardless, like, you're just like, damn it, like, it's not going to happen. And you walk away and you chalk it up to experience and, like... you don't get, like, super sad about it, but it sucks.
I mean, it's not fun.
It's not, and you just have to, like, move on from it, but always go back. I don't know. But yeah, so it's a lot more emotional than, I think...
Than any of the other ones.
Yeah.
To me, it's the most emotional, because it's clearly, like, no, it is you. Even though sometimes it's like, well, maybe they don't want your look or whatever.
Yeah.
That's another thing. I think people think the fashion side is very competitive, which it can be. But every time I've ever sat in a casting room, especially for like an international agency, I look around at everybody and I'm like, I'm not competing with these people because we clearly all have different looks.
Yeah.
So if they don't want me, they just don't want my look. It's not necessarily me. It's like, I don't reflect the look they want to go for, or they don't think they can market my look as well, which is fine. Maybe they can market Nicole's look better. You know, it's literally just that. It's not necessarily you.
Yeah.
Like,
it can come down to, like, we prefer, like, these two models are similar and we prefer her bone structure, or these two models are similar, but
she has a stronger walk.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
This brunette has green eyes and this one has brown, and we find green eyes more marketable.
Yeah, a green eye's going to pop better on camera. Like, literally, it's down to those things. It can be down to eyebrows. Like, I have a really thick eyebrow. which is a lot. Most people really like it.
Yeah.
But if they think that that's maybe too hard for their market and too editorial, like they want someone that's maybe commercial and editorial, they're going to probably go for someone that doesn't have as bushy of a brow. And that's literally just what they want. Like, it's not you.
I think the funny thing with fashion too that people don't realize, so you're so used to seeing commercial models like CoverGirl, where they're very aesthetically pleasing, even if you saw them on the street, or they're very girl next door. But fashion models
look weird.
Look kind of weird. They look a little alien. Like, typically the eyes are a little bit farther apart. The forehead could be bigger, or there's some quirk about their face that's unique, and you don't always see it in photos.
No, it doesn't,
because it
translates really well.
It translates differently.
There's different categories of fashion, but one is like the alien creature one, which technically I fall into, because it's like sometimes, like you said, like you're not necessarily traditionally pretty. And that's not to say that you're not pretty, but just your look is more marketable and you work well more in like the weird, really creative, like editorial kind of crazy stuff. Like if you were to scream on camera and they took a picture of it, it'd be, wow, so high fashion. It wouldn't be like creepy looking. It'd be like, oh my God.
Or girl next door screaming and scared. It would be strong.
It'd be cool. Like they would love it. Whereas like there's some girls that are more like glamour based, which are usually like the bombshell type. Like they can do the big hair and like all this makeup, and they're gonna look gorgeous, just looking like swept away in some like old fashioned film. And that's kind of another style too. It's like the glamour models, or girls that do like
big eyes.
A lot of lingerie modeling are also categorized in glamour. So there's different zones for each one, and people don't realize that you have to have a look, and also your look isn't always like on the street translating. Like people, I've heard this from like several of the big models that like they'll stand next to their ad sometimes and people do not recognize them. It's like that's kind of the point. Like I'm not meant to be able to stand next to a picture of myself and you initially know that it's me. It might just take you a beat or two to figure it out, or sometimes if it's really high fashion, you're not gonna figure it out. Like, but that's just kind of how it is. Like, it's not meant to be a normal person on the street. It's meant to be something else.
I think the funny thing is I don't think people realize how much lighting plays into how good you look. And it's like, you don't walk around with a ring light. And lighting makes such a difference. So you'll even see like a selfie of like a model. And it's like, whoa, that doesn't, well, it's like, she doesn't have.
And she doesn't have makeup
flashes and makeup. And, I think that's cool, though. I like when people don't recognize me in a photo, to an extent. I'm like, I want you to know it's me. It's like, because I did that. But also, like, it's cool that you think it doesn't look like me. But, I mean, I'm kind of realizing with each topic, there's a commercial side and a less commercial side. Because there's obviously the commercial fashion side, which even could just go back to Dip. Modeling for Dip is a commercial fashion model because that's fashion. It's just commercial fashion. So I was
you have beauty on there.
Trying to think of people who fit into each category. Bella Hadid is who I thought of for fashion. I think she's predominantly a fashion model.
She's high fashion. She's doing ad campaigns. She's doing runways.
You're not going to see her doing Dr. Brew kombucha commercials.
If she did, it'd be so weird.
They have to make it fashion.
No.
So then she also does, and this transitions well, she does a lot of glamour beauty modeling.
She can kind of play both lines depending on what they are. She can translate well.
She has some very strong bone
Whereas
structure.
Gigi Hadid to me falls specifically into glamour / girl next door. Because she still does runway, but she will never... I mean, I've never seen her she does some Versace, which can go edgy.
Really,
but to me, she's not meant to be edgy. And if she does do it, it'd be cool. Like, good for her for experimenting. But I think she knows her lane, and her lane is like...
Tommy Hilfiger,
Calvin Klein, you know. She stays very American, girl next door. She does some edgy runway, but that's the only time you'll see her do edge. She'll never do it in a campaign ad. She'll never do it in just print work. Like, it's always going to be something that's more just like fun, glamour, pretty. Whereas Bella Hadid, you could tell, isn't afraid of potentially going weird. Like she
Yeah.
did that whole shoot, I think it was Versace, where she was in the glass cases
That
like
was
in a
really
museum.
cool.
And that could easily go weird because it's like, wow, we're looking at this human being, but it looked so cool.
Yeah.
But I could not imagine Gigi doing that. They're just clearly
couldn't
two different
either.
lanes.
Yeah.
Like, which is fine.
It's
But
awesome for them, actually. Then they literally aren't competition. I don't think they are from the get-go.
to me they're not.
No.
Well,
I
because
don't-
like, could you imagine Bella Hadid doing Victoria's Secret? No, but could you imagine Gigi Hadid doing it? Absolutely,
Yeah.
because she's more their person.
their person.
Like
yeah.
that's just how it is.
Um,
You have beauty written down there, but so
yeah.
to me, beauty modeling is specifically usually for skincare, makeup, or kind of perfume. Sometimes,
Yeah, because they don't. What are they
sometimes
gonna focus
perfume
on
is just legit an ad campaign.
Zach makes fun of that's my husband, every perfume campaign ever. And they're awful. Just so weird.
They're meant to be over the
I know.
top.
They're
You
supposed
have
to
to
be fantasy.
understand they're meant to be a
Like,
fantasy.
how do you sell a scent?
You sell a
the
fan-
lifestyle that goes with the scent.
Well, to women, marketing to women, you sell the lifestyle.
Yeah.
And you sell an image. Men, you sell more
sex.
sex, or you sell like the whole vibe. No, not necessarily the vibe. To men, I think you sell more honestly, being like, hey, we know you're kind of fat. Do you want to wear this shirt? Like, that's kind of, they're a little bit, that sounds really bad, but they're way up more up front with it, and they're like, hey, we know that you want a slim cut.
I see what you're saying.
We're
They
gonna-
tell men what they need.
They tell you straight up what you need, whereas with women, they're selling you a lifestyle and a fantasy. They'll be like, imagine you wearing this dress on a yacht somewhere. Are you
Yeah.
ever going to be on a yacht? No, but can you imagine that? Yes, you need to buy this
and
dress.
then Brad Pitt walks in.
Yeah, but that's what you're selling. You're
Yeah.
selling more of a lifestyle to them, whereas men, this is how I want to say it. This is way better. Men, you're selling a product. Women, you're selling a lifestyle. So you have to paint the picture way more, whereas with guys, not as much.
Yeah.
Traditionally, that's kind of how marketing is studied and looked at, and so that's kind of how most of it still is around that that realm.
On like a feminist note, it's really fucking frustrating because women's products are so much more expensive and they market them so ridiculously. Like, why does everything have to be pink and glittery so that we have to pay $4 more for
Well,
packaging?
I buy men's razors.
Oh, I do too. Deodorant.
I just ventured into men's deodorant because I was going all natural for a while, and I was like, I just can't.
doesn't-
It just
yeah.
I feel like I'm still sweaty. Sorry.
I'll like detox my armpits. Fun fact.
Yeah, that's good to do.
Yeah.
Well, because you're so close to the breast, it can be linked to breast cancer. So you do have to be
You
aware.
want to be careful.
But
I like Old Spice.
I use
There's like a lavender.
Dove
scented
for Men, the clear one. Is that I looked at all the ingredients. There's no aluminum, so I was like,
That's
okay,
good.
cool.
That's the
Like I'll do this.
Anyways, how did we?
So beauty modeling to me is mostly like
I think of CoverGirl.
CoverGirl. It's usually makeup companies. Like to me, anyone that works for like Jeffree Star is kind of beauty modeling because usually it's for a makeup launch that's gonna come out, or like Huda Beauty does really cool campaigns.
Think like collarbone up.
Yeah, usually it's rarely your whole body.
Yeah.
Or you
'Cause
do
can't see the face enough.
Or another thing that is not unique to Portland, but is a part of Portland, is beauty modeling for competition. So, like, I've worked with, like, Rie Hair.
Oh,
When
yeah.
she enters hair competitions, I will be her model. And, yeah, we shot the whole body, but really they only used images from, I'd say, like, the belly button up. And they'll do, like, a really cool hairstyle. Or for makeup artists, they'll do a really cool makeup on you, and they'll send it in for competition. Almost like a pageant style where you send in photos for it. But it's for them to win or potentially go to hair shows or beauty shows. So that's another piece of beauty modeling too, is just being just like a canvas for them to put stuff on to showcase their skills.
Yeah.
Because I've gotten, I don't know if you've gotten that call, but there's a call that Ryan Artist sends out. It's been out a couple times where it was for a hair company, but you were getting your hair cut, so you had to be okay with getting like a life-changing haircut was what
I
it
did see
said.
that.
And it was like a lot of money though. It was like a good amount of money, but it was for like a hair show where they're teaching students at it too. So they had professionals actually like cutting your hair. My friend's a hairstylist, so now I know how this works because I've asked him. Shout out Alex. But he goes to like the Chi classes. So you can go and you'll learn from the experts, and then sometimes you'll go on stage and present. And for the experts, sometimes they'll have like an actual model and not just work on the creepy heads.
Yeah.
They'll work on an actual girl and be like, this is how you curl a hair correctly, blah, blah, blah. So that's what that was for. So sometimes you're modeling for like them just to use your head, basically.
I don't know if I could commit to getting my hair cut to a style.
I
never
didn't
saw.
want to.
I've never even dyed my hair.
If it wasn't going to be super, super short, like if they weren't going to buzz it, maybe they're just going to cut it, like, you know, below the jaw, I would maybe be okay with it. The problem is you wouldn't know until you get there, and I don't like that aspect.
It makes me think of, like, the America's Next Top Model.
Oh, yeah, when they just, like, cut them.
Those are the best episodes. Like, it's because there's drama involved in them, but it's also, like, you get it drama.
To me, those are so hardcore because they're like, we're going to shave your whole head. I'm like, oh my God.
But Tyra is just usually right. And I love that anytime she's been wrong, she's like, no, this is fucked. We're going to change this.
Like, or like, yeah, when they would like shave her head and then they actually had to put like a weave in. I'm like, this poor person. Yeah. Like, they don't want to deal with it.
Oh well. But so I tried really hard to find like a true glamour beauty model. Like a model that isn't a celebrity, and that's what I kept coming across. And I found one.
You did? Okay.
Yeah, so her name is Daria Straukhaus.
Sure.
She's my age.
All right.
So she, I went ahead and I did more research on her because I was really curious. She has been in Milan and Paris Fashion Week. She's had a bunch of Vogue covers. She was the muse for the current creative director, Raf Simons, at Dior.
Yeah.
So, and that's all the beauty and everything along those lines. And she started that in 2013. So she's done Chanel, Prada, Alberto Ferretti. Am I saying that right? Alberto Ferretti?
Yeah.
I think I wrote it. I like paraphrase all my writing. Anyways.
Yeah, to me, when I think of beauty modeling, I mean, she is a celebrity, but I think of Natalie Portman and like Miss Dior.
Yeah.
Because, like, sometimes she is doing ridiculous things, but it's essentially, she's, like, pretty fresh-faced.
She is
walking around. Yeah. So, like, that's kind of beauty modeling where, like, they're just kind of using her for a storyline, but also to be like, well, look, she's just, like, really fresh-faced.
Yeah, she's
like,
really young-looking.
Yeah, and, like, she's just pretty. Like,
they have the, CoverGirl now has the 69-year-old,
oh, yeah.
May Musk. May, M-A-Y-E Musk.
Yeah, with her pretty silver
hair.
hair.
My mom keeps making jokes about we're going to New York Fashion Week, and she keeps saying that she's going to be the next geriatric model, which she could genuinely be a mature model.
My mom was a model at Muse for a little.
Yeah,
she was a mature model.
I keep trying to tell her, like, no, like, just, it's going to be great. And there's this model for CoverGirl. She's 69. My mom is not 69. We'll see. If anyone's listening to this, and you're looking for a geriatric blonde model.
That's funny.
I have the woman for you.
You got the lady.
Anyways, they really, like, slight tangent. Oh, I just bumped the desk. Slight tangent on that. Like, they need to start using more mature models. They have money. They're the ones with money. They're the ones that'll go out and, like, buy Dior. Like you say, they sell a lifestyle, so they use younger models. But I think that's shifting for women.
Yeah, I would also hope it shifts just for the, like we've talked about, for the safety issues that you start. Well, New York has the law too that you have to be 18 now, which is good because before you would have a 16-year-old on a runway, which, like, I mean, I started at that age where, like, I can't imagine working in New York at 16. I feel like that would have been too much for me.
Unless they're going to make it super safe.
Which,
somehow.
Who knows how they're going to do that. But, so the fact that they're being more aware of that, too. Yeah. Well, and Europe has the body laws, which is way better, where you have to, like, go in for daily, you have to be weighed, and you have to do a BMI check to make sure that you're healthy. Agencies have to do this by law in Paris, Spain, and I think France, Spain, and London. I don't know if it's gone to Italy yet. But I know for sure Spain and France, you have to do the body laws, or they have to check your weight. They have to check your BMI to make sure that you're not starving yourself. It's their way of fixing some body dysmorphia, like some eating disorder, and also making sure that the agent is not putting them at risk with that. And then also with that, this is all of anybody, I think anyone on the euro, this applies for any country that's still on the euro. I believe now if you have a retouched photo, they have to put a little sticker on it if it's in an ad or in, like, a magazine in Europe. It has to be like, this photo was photoshopped. Like, they have to tell you.
Interesting.
That was part of the huge body loss thing that went into effect, but they have to tell you. And they also cannot ask you, like, to lose weight anymore. They have to take you at your sizes, or I'm sure there's ways to work around that, right? But they have to take you at sizes now, which is good.
Yeah.
So
I think there's a professional limit on if they ask you to reduce to fit an outfit. Like, if it's like a half an inch and it's already designed, I don't know. I guess that's usually just bloat. Just
half an inch. Also, they should leave that for seam allowance.
You're right.
Like, they should. I mean,
yeah.
No.
I don't know.
Or do you have more to say?
I So we like lightly touched on parts modeling, which is like hands, feet, lips, stuff like that. And then just the one last type that I thought of was promotional modeling. So this is like in person. So really big model misconception corner.
Okay.
Promotional models are not like the I think the misconception is that they go with like their boobs out and they're there to like be sexy and flirt with everybody and sell product. Meanwhile, like they're not. In fact, in a lot of the contracts with them, it's like you do not have to interact like with customers beyond offering them a sample and, you know, just telling them about the company.
Oh, I have a good story. Keep going though.
You can be like, you know, yeah, a lot of it is like typically women at bars wearing like attire that themes with the bar. Like if it's country attire, you're probably gonna have like a tied up plaid shirt on or whatever, but
like crop tops.
Yeah, but then there's also like car modeling, which that can go a little bit more into the sexy realm, but also like some companies will pay you to go hand out samples at like a Costco, for example. Like you go to Costco and you see the guy selling like Traeger grills. Like some things use like professional models for that.
Yeah.
And now you're
perfect example. There was a Mac by me, which I won't say which one, but for a while they always wanted to do like when a launch came out, they wanted to use live models and put them in full makeup and hair and in outfits and just be there as like a live model and someone to interact with the customer. I got sent that casting, I remember like twice, and I remember I couldn't do it both times because of like I just think like I couldn't have time. But I remember that was a huge thing for like Mac counters used to do that, where like you sometimes if it was like a big makeup launch, they would have a model be there or be there getting your makeup done or something to interact with. And this was in like a mall too. This wasn't just like a standalone Mac store. This was like in a mall. But I got sent that a couple times, and I mean, you know, there was like the Abercrombie models for a while, which those they were probably real models. I doubt those are people that actually worked there.
The shirtless men models.
Sometimes there's a girl.
I've never seen a girl, honestly, but I
used to see a girl at the one kind of by me. There was always a guy, and he was always shirtless, but then there was a girl in like also summery attire too. Oh, okay. So there would be like a guy and a girl there, and they'd be there for a couple hours. But that is a form of, that kind of is also with live modeling. Sometimes you're just paid to be a live model, which means you just stand there and like sometimes you interact with people, sometimes you talk with people. To me, I've done that a couple of times. One was for like kind of a hair show, and then another was for Michelle Lesniak at the Portland Art Museum. We walked on a runway. So we did a runway, and then they had us stand on podiums for like 30 minutes so she could stand there by me, her design, and like talk about it, and then like have people come up and like touch the skirt or whatever. So like you are not allowed to interact with people unless they tell you usually. So you kind of have to be a live statue. Or like art institutes. There's some people that do like art exhibits with live models or whatever. Like that are there. And that you can like you can't talk to them. It's like Disney, we can't break character. Like I can't talk to you. I can only talk to you sometimes.
Well, you're on the job.
Yeah, like so I'm not really supposed to break the illusion.
It's like going up to the guards at Buckingham Palace and trying to make them laugh.
They can't do it.
They can't do it.
It's their job.
Okay, should we take a break and come back and do obsessions?
Yeah.
Cool. We are back.
Okay, obsessions.
Obsessions.
Mine this week is Charity from Cherry Bomb Makeup, because I finally met her at Fringe and she was really fun.
I had no idea you were going to talk about Charity. I love Charity. She lives like 5 minutes from here.
I didn't know that either. So like she told me that when we were hanging out, but she was so chill, and like the makeup she did was really cool and fun, and she's super fun. Talented. Yeah, she's cute. She's really easy to talk. You're really easy to talk to, which I appreciate, because sometimes I just want to talk about random things at a show. But yeah,
Charity's like probably the most honest person I've ever met. She's really cool.
She's chill.
Good obsession.
That's my obsession.
Nice. I'm excited to see like better pictures of the makeup and stuff.
I don't know if they took them
like close-ups and stuff.
Yeah, shout out if you went to Fringe. That was cool. I know Tiffany went. So shout out to you.
Yeah, Tiffany. She actually...
She tagged us.
Yeah, she was asking if she could do a guest piece on skincare. She's an esthetician.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Maybe. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. We need a second mic, first of all.
Yeah, we're just working on one.
So either Tom Lupton, give us your other mic, or sponsor our podcast. So
and we'll go buy one. Yeah.
Okay.
What's yours?
So my obsession, I found this really cool website.
Ooh.
And I found it while I was looking up that Daria Straukas model, the one I was talking about for beauty. So I went on, I Google image searched CoverGirl models, I think. And I scrolled through all the images and I just like waited for one to catch my eye. And hers caught my eye, didn't recognize her, so I clicked on it and I clicked through the link and it took me to this website called Fashion Model Directory.
Ooh.
Yeah, so you can pull it up, you can search CoverGirl ads like 1990 and it will pull them all up and you can click on it and it tells you who the model is.
Oh shit, that's
nice. It tells you all of this information on the model. So like anytime you've ever seen an ad and you're like, who is that model? They're like awesome or whatever. This website provides that for you, which is great because a lot of times it makes sense when you're getting paid to not be credited because you did a job and that's that. But if people can find you,
we'll link that below. That's cool. Yeah.
And we'll make sure to put any other links in the description of stuff that we talked about. And yeah.
Cool. All right.
Thanks for listening, guys.
Yeah.
Make sure to follow us on Instagram at Model Talk Podcast PDX. We have a Facebook now.
Oh, okay.
And we're testing that out.
We have a group?
And we have a page.
Oh, we have a page.
I invited you. All right. Surprise, Devin. We have a Facebook page now.
Haven't looked at my phone all day, so I probably didn't see it. I'll look later.
Yeah. So, I thought I was going to have a busy day yesterday. It ended up being a free day, and I just had a bunch of time on my hands, and so I made a Facebook page. So go check out that. We can post kind of more images on that than
I
Instagram.
got it. We're
Yeah,
good.
it's there. And then, so if you are listening on, like, Apple Podcasts and you can subscribe or review, please do that and interact with us online so we know what else to talk about. Okay, guys.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening.